guys want to talk about?
Let me talk to you.
Throwdown Nation, we are live. We are rolling on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter/X, Facebook, and Twitch. It is episode 117 of the Throwdown with Matt on a Wednesday night. And tonight we are throwing down with a pro wrestler and deathmatch specialist based out of Pennsylvania. Ladies and gentlemen, the Hammerlord, Jami Jameson. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, Matt?
Man, I can't complain. Any day you can start and finish above ground is a good day.
Of course, for sure.
So for those of you that are watching this live, if you have questions or comments, just go ahead and throw them in the chat, and we'll either handle them as we go or do a little Q&A at the end. So we'll go ahead and get started with the first and the most obvious question, Jami, and that is, how long have you been wrestling?
So that question for me is a little bit tricky because I used to backyard wrestle before I turned pro. So if you're counting the backyard years, I'm gonna say 12 or 13 years. And then I went pro in 2015. I had my first pro match in 2015 in October. So you could say that I've been doing it professionally for 10 years in October, but then I had to move back home and finish training in 2016. So I technically didn't get steady pro wrestling dates until February 2017. So roughly steady, I've been doing this professionally for 8 years.
Gotcha. So, after you moved, I guess, beyond the backyard stuff, who actually trained you?
So right out of high school, I graduated high school, finished the backyard stuff. Right into the summer of 2015, I moved to Kentucky to train at Ohio Valley Wrestling under Matt Capitelli. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
The name rings a bell, yeah.
He won Tough Enough with John Morrison. They both won it at the same time.
Gotcha.
So he was my first trainer. He was my beginning class trainer, Matt Capitelli. He's passed away now, so rest in peace. And then after Matt Capitelli, I went to the advanced class at OVW, and I was trained by Rip Rogers. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, very familiar with Rip Rogers.
I trained with Rip. I trained with Matt for, I believe, 10 to 15 weeks, and then we had a showcase, like a showcase of the new talent show in October of 2015. So that's when I had my first professional wrestling match, and then after that it was back to training more advanced stuff with Rip, and I did, I believe, 5, maybe 6 weeks with Rip, and then I had a family issue. I had to move back home, and so I didn't get to finish all my training, and I had to re-pick training back up whenever I moved back home, and I started training with the Iron City Wrestling Academy, which is the International Wrestling Cartel's training facility, and I was trained under Christopher LaRusso and Andrew Palace out of Pittsburgh.
Gotcha. So, in terms of, I guess the transition from having done the backyard stuff to going into actual training, what would you say was the most challenging aspect of pro wrestling training for you to wrap your mind and body around? What was the most challenging part of the early training?
Definitely the cardio. That is the number one thing. And I was given like many warnings about it, and I didn't take any of it serious until day one of class. And man, I'm telling you, I got my ass kicked week and week and week until I lost the weight. I started class with Matt at like 303,
Mm-hmm.
303 pounds. And by the time I was done with this class, which was 10, 15 weeks, I was 244.
Wow.
Yeah, he kicked my ass into shape. And
Yeah.
at the end of the class, whenever I graduated beginners class, he told me, I honestly didn't think you were going to make it through my class, but you never gave up. He was like, you trucked through it. He said you might have been puking under the ring, which I puked under the ring many a times. He knew what he was doing, and I wasn't giving up. So, and he gave me my flowers at graduation night. So I was really appreciative of that.
That's awesome. But yeah, man, I know what you mean because for a number of years, several years ago, I was training in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu,
Uh-huh.
and um, I had wrestled some in high school, so I was comfortable on the mat and everything. But when you're in high school and you're a kid, you've basically got cardio.
Yeah.
But as you get older, man, the the cardio aspect of BJJ was definitely something I had to kind of come to terms
Yeah.
with, because I still maintain there is no better full body workout than grappling with somebody for 5-minute rounds.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Oh
that
yeah.
that is that's rough stuff, man.
Hmm.
So, what led you to decide to specialize in deathmatch work? How did that come about?
So in the backyard, that's all we did. We did crazy hardcore stuff. Like we didn't know nothing about psychology of wrestling, like not nothing like that. We just went out and beat each other's ass and had fun.
Yeah,
Like what backyard wrestling's supposed to be. For me in the backyard with my buddies, we loved those wows, like the holy shits, and that has stuck with me. Like people reacting to somebody getting hit with a light bulb, like that. You
hmm,
don't get reactions like that out of many people, and it's something that's not seen very often. Um, so my love for that kind of stuff grew in the backyard, and then whenever I started pro, I wanted to like stay away from it so that I could understand wrestling before getting back into it. And
right.
this past 2 years or so, I finally started dipping my toes back into the deathmatch kind of style. I mean, I was always known for doing the hardcore stuff, but I've been pushing it a little bit further these past 2 years, and I'm
Gotcha.
having a blast. It's what I love.
No doubt, no doubt. So, speed round.
Yeah.
Matt Tremont.
Uh, blood spewing,
Yep.
forks, bulgy forehead,
Yeah.
gashes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So one of my recent guests actually brought something up during his time on the show, and I've sort of taken his idea and kind of added it to my repertoire of questions. And
Yeah.
he had the idea of basically being able to kind of give a wrestling TED talk or elevator talk, and the challenge that he came up with is try to sum your wrestling persona up in 5 words.
5 words.
It's not that easy.
Yeah. Give me a second.
Yeah, take your time.
I'm gonna go tough. Um, pissed. Badass. Five words. That's hard.
You don't have to do five. I mean, if you think you've summed it up pretty well.
Nah, I got another one.
Okay.
I'm gonna go underrated.
Yeah.
Um, we'll go gore.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. So,
That's a good question.
well, thank you. Thank you. So, uh, you know, in terms of the whole death match thing, you've been doing this long enough and experimenting with different things that I'm sure you probably have an answer to this. What is your favorite death match, air quotes, toy? What's your favorite weapon or object that you like to use in death matches?
I mean, light tubes is a go-to, but I always carry around a 2x4 wrapped in barbed wire.
Nice.
I love using that. I love seeing people's eyes light up when you pull that out from underneath the ring. It's just like, holy shit! You don't see shit like that every day.
No, you
Like
don't.
this guy's gonna do something serious. I like the barbed wire 2x4. I'm gonna go with that one.
Nice.
And fun fact, it is literally in my trunk everywhere I go. No matter if I'm going to a wrestling show or if I'm going to the shoot job, it's in my trunk everywhere I go.
Nice. Nice. Does it have a name?
It does not. Everybody calls it Barbie, but
That'll work.
yeah, it works. I haven't named it, but everybody calls it Barbie. So
Got you. So, I'm presuming that you've been a fan of this stuff the majority of your life. Is that accurate?
what, wrestling or death
Yeah,
match?
wrestling, just in
Um,
general.
so I feel like I got a little bit of a late start to it. Um, like most of the people I know was watching wrestling since they were a child, like 3, 4,
Hmm.
5. I started watching when I was 10, which is a little bit later, I think.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't know nothing about wrestling until I've told this story on a couple different podcasts, but I'll tell it to you because you don't know it. Um, I'd go to church with my family, my mom, dad, and my brother, and we had this. Me and my brother had this best friend. His name was Dominic, and we always would, like, we had Bible study stuff like that together. We'd always be hanging out, and we always wanted to get together outside of church and like have a hangout time, like kids do. And it never worked out. We always would plan something, something would get in the way of that. And just the one time, the first time it actually worked out, like my parents were free to have him over, and his parents were cool with him coming over to stay the night. And he said, "There's one requirement. As long as or if I'm coming there, I have to watch Friday Night SmackDown." And I had no idea what Friday Night SmackDown was. And so I said, "What's that?" And he said, "It's wrestling." And I didn't even know what that meant, wrestling. I didn't know what
Hmm.
wrestling meant. So he explained it to me, and I was like, "Yeah, we'll watch it as long as you're coming over." I didn't care. And then Friday Night SmackDown is on, and it's, oh my god, it opened my eyes to a whole nother world. It was insane, and instantly fell in love. Instantly.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like you, um, I got my start as a fan around the age of 11.
Hmm.
I was a kid in Florida, and I happened upon Florida Championship Wrestling. Back then, the commentator was this guy Gordon Soley. This was around 1981, 82, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And my earliest memory was I came in the early stages of the feud between Dusty Rhodes and Kevin Sullivan.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, oh yeah. And you know, when you're 11 years old, Kevin Sullivan was a scary dude.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because at the time he had the whole satanic gimmick going on, you know,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah, that's definitely a wild time to get into it.
oh yeah, for sure, for sure. So, away from wrestling, what are some of your other hobbies and interests?
I like to weight lift, but that kind of goes with wrestling.
Right.
Um, I I honestly just like being home with the wife and with the dogs. I love my dogs. Um, I I like to play video games with my brother whenever I get the chance to, which doesn't happen too often just because of real life.
Right.
Um, I love playing poker, Texas Hold'em, or any other poker, anything with cards. I like going to the casino. Uh, I like classic trucks. Like I have a 77 Ford F-150 and a 79 Ford Bronco. Love classic
Nice.
vehicles.
Nice. What kind of dogs do you have?
I have 3 English bulldogs,
Nice, nice. We've
and they're hectic assholes.
oh yeah, we've got three Chihuahua mixes and I mean they are all very distinct personalities.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure, for sure. So, so outside of wrestling, what person inspires you the most and why?
I'd probably say my dad. Um, he always has good head on his shoulders. He's always keeping me in line whenever I'm screwing around, not doing things I should be doing, like taking care of my yard work. He's always getting on my ass about every adult thing I should be doing, and he's got it all put together, and I I respect the hell out of him for that, and he tries to keep me all together, so and my brother all together, and my wife all together, all the above. He always looking out, so he's probably that one for me.
Gotcha. Speed round. Terry Funk.
Uh, barbed wire, uh, striped pants, moonsaults off of ladders,
Yeah.
branding irons,
Yep.
fucked up hair.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a character. You know, rest in peace, Terry, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Ticker choke slammed him in the hell in a cell, and his shoes went flying.
Oh yeah. Yep. 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 So, what is your favorite thing about Pennsylvania?
It's really woodsy. Like there's a lot of woods. I live out in the sticks. I like seeing trees and not seeing roads. I don't like the cities. I like looking out at the yard and seeing green. A lot of green.
Yeah.
Hilly.
Yep. So, you know, they say that the best wrestling personas are essentially yourself turned up to 11.
Uh-huh.
So tell us about in-ring Jami Jameson. Tell us about the Hammerlord and compare and contrast him with everyday you.
So um I mean I'm a loud, I can be angry. Uh I mean it's it's a little bit different now since I turned heel. Whenever I was a baby face, um, I don't know. It's hard to pick this question apart because whenever you think about the heel factor and the babyface factor. I don't know. Like whenever I was a babyface, I was always so loved, and that's how I am outside of wrestling. Like I'm loved. For some reason, my mom always is like, "You're so blessed. Everybody loves you." Um, so I mean, I'm a country strong dude, and that's pretty much what I am in the ring.
Gotcha. So, tell us about your very first match. What was it like? How did it go? What were your thoughts about it? Lay it on us. Tell us about the very first one.
So my very first professional wrestling match was at OVW against one of my good buddies, Eddie Knox. And we always, like, we were best buds in class, and we clicked most in the ring. Like, we were always paired together whenever we were doing like practice matches and stuff like that. And I'd say that we were the most advanced in the class. So like our bumps were always the best, our moves, we were always the first to get everything. We understood everything before everybody else, and that helped us click. We had some chemistry, and whenever we got told we were going to main event the show, we were pumped. And
No doubt.
yeah, I was stoked. And I was having like maybe 15, 20 family members come from PA up to or over to Kentucky, couple friends. So I was super excited for that. And whenever we got to the show that day, or got to the arena that day, I was practicing a shooting star press because that was going to be the finish of the match.
Hmm.
And I was pulling them off. I don't know how I was pulling them off. It was 240 pounds doing a shooting star press. It just me, this bulky dude doing a shooting star press. And I just got my like uh my leather wrestling boots. Just got them in the mail the week prior. And I've
Hmm.
been doing this shooting star press with I know this is a little bit off topic of the question, sorry.
That's
Um
fine.
uh I've been doing the shooting star press with tenor shoes,
Hmm.
and everything's going smooth, smooth, smooth. And then I was like, I should probably try this with my boots on because I have not done this, and I'm gonna need to do that in the match. And I get the boots on, they're so stiff, and I'm like, oh man, this is kind of scary. And I get up there, I was like, gotta at least do it once before the match to get the feel for it. And I went for it, and I scorpioned myself real bad.
Oh no.
Yeah, the day of the show. And oh my God, all my wind was gone. I lost all the confidence in the world for that move. And then I looked over at my trainer, Matt Capitelli, and he was like, he shook his head, and he was like, I think we should go a different route. And I was like, I agree. I don't think I should be doing that with these boots. And
Yeah.
that was the last time I've ever done a shooting star press. uh so we changed it. Uh they wanted me to go over, but I really wanted to go over with the shooting star press, and I was like, if I can't go over with the shooting star press, I really like taking his he did the end of days, what Baron Corbin does.
Yeah.
I loved taking it. It looked disgusting every time he did it to me. And I was like, I'd rather lose if he can hit the end of days. And that's what we went with. And we got to the ring, we were given 8 to 10. I came out to my old yard song, so all my friends and family were going crazy for it. And then we start the match, and we thought we were gonna have this 5-star classic, and it just wasn't that. And because it was our first time wrestling like a real match, and we were told, don't do any moves that you haven't learned in class. And uh he was talking about really wanting to hit a German suplex, and we weren't taught that. And I was like, I've taken German suplexes all the time in the yard. Just do it. And the second he hit me with that German suplex, I mean, we might have been 4 minutes into the match out of 8 to 10. And
Hmm.
because they seen us do that move that we weren't taught, they cut our time. They literally had the guy announce 2 minutes remain or 1 minute remaining in the match. So they cut our time. They were like, "You got to get to your finish because you guys screwed up. You did something you weren't supposed to do." So they cut our time, and we were like, "Fuck!"
Yeah.
And so we had to get right to the finish, or it was going to be a draw, and we didn't want that. So
Right.
he hit his finish, and it was just we should have listened, and we didn't. And we paid the price.
Well, it's a life lesson, you know.
It sure is.
But I was just looking over at the Instagram tab, and actually, Justin from the ILW pod is in the Instagram chat, and he says hello. So,
Nice. What's up, Justin? How you doing?
but so we've heard about the first match. Now, tell us about your favorite match that you've been a part of.
Okay, so my first, there's a couple. It's hard to pick, so I'm going to give you two.
That's
Uh,
fine.
my first match in Pennsylvania professionally after I finished my training, I debuted at the IWC against the IWC World Heavyweight Champion Wardlow, and
Really,
yeah,
that Wardlow.
that Wardlow, yeah.
Wow.
So whenever I was told that I was getting to wrestle Wardlow for the World Heavyweight Champion, and mind you, I grew up watching IWC like I was a fan all the time. I'd be going there since I was 12 or 14 or so, watching the IWC guys like Wardlow and John McChesney and Bill Collier, and watching all those guys growing up. And now I'm getting to wrestle for the world champion, which I admire,
Yeah.
against Wardlow. And it's just like, man, this is insane for my first match. Uh, so that match really is one of my favorite. And then me and my buddy from the yard, he ended up training after I did, and he got in and he wrestles for IWC now. He wrestles for a lot of places. Um, so anytime I get to get in the ring with him, it's always something special. And we in the yard we would do a show called Jamie's Birthday Bash. It was our WrestleMania,
Hmm.
and we'd have like roughly 300 like kids from high school in the backyard
Nice.
around the ring. Yeah, it was always a spectacle for Jamie's Birthday Bash, and we talked this one promoter into um naming the May show Jamie's Birthday Bash because I was the world champion at that company at the time, and and the promoter wanted me to face Elijah Dean. That's the my buddy from the yard for the title. And I was like, well, if we're doing this and it's in May, which my birthday's in May,
Hmm.
and we always had Jamie's Birthday Bash in May. We were like, if we're doing this for the title in the main event, can we have the show be titled Jamie's Birthday Bash? I was like, we guarantee we'll sell some old yard friends tickets. Like we'll sell some tickets if it's titled this.
Right.
And he agreed to do it. It was awesome, and we put together a banger. It was honestly probably one of my best matches to date. And we also had um a little uh like money in the bank cash in. It's a trophy. It's not the briefcase, but it works as a money. Gets a shot at the title anytime. Blah 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 blah. Me and Elijah Dean hit this big superplex. Boom, double down, and we're getting like 6, 7, 8, and then this guy's music hits, and he just happened to be a fan from the yard days. Like he watched us growing up in our crowd because he
Hmm.
was from a school in the surrounding area, and he heard about us, and he was coming to our shows all the time. So he got to be a part of Jamie's Birthday Bash in the pro world, cashing in his trophy to enter himself into the myself versus Elijah Dean and he ended up taking the title. So it was a surreal full circle moment for us three guys who grew up doing this stuff in the backyard and him watching it in the backyard. So that's probably my all-time favorite match, I think.
No
It's
doubt.
very special match.
Yeah, I can tell just watching your face the memories that are associated. That is just
Yeah.
so cool. But
Yeah.
speaking of Wardlow, man, uh, I don't know what is going on with him. I mean, the guy is so talented, has the look, and
Hmm.
they're keeping him off TV, and I
It
don't get
doesn't
it.
make sense. It
I
doesn't make
don't get
sense.
it. I don't
He
get it. The
is,
guy checks all the boxes.
I
I
know,
mean,
he's a bona fide star, a stud. And
yeah,
like if you want to home grow talent, he's homegrown.
yeah,
He's a star. He's your star. It's not
yeah.
somebody who came from the other place.
I
He
know,
is your star. Your
I
star.
know,
He's a
I know,
star.
I
Come
know.
on.
I don't get it.
Me either. Oh,
so, what is your? I know everybody has them, but what is your biggest in-ring pet peeve?
wrestlers who are in the ring who clearly have no right to be in the ring. Like I don't want to be offensive, but there's just so many guys who don't belong in a ring. And some some places just train people to grab money, and it's not fair to the wrestling world, and it's an
Right,
embarrassment to our craft. And I I can't stand being on shows with some of these people sometimes. That's probably my biggest pet peeve. Either that or just pure ignorance in the back. Like there's no reason to be a complete asshole in 2025. Like we can
right,
all learn to get along and all learn to help each other. There's no reason to have this massive ego anymore and completely dog uh people for no reason. Like we're all here to help each other. That's another big pet peeve of mine.
right, right. Speed round. Nick Gage.
Oh my God level. Fucked up teeth,
Yeah,
bald, bandana, bank robbery.
yeah, yeah. He's had an interesting life.
Yes, he has.
Um, Man, I feel bad for what he's going through right now, though, with the loss of his wife. That is
Hmm.
just that is just tragic.
Yeah,
I just can't imagine. So,
no, that would be horrible.
uh, yeah, for sure. So, I know that there are basically two and a half ways of preparing for a match. You can either work it out with your opponent in the back, call it in the ring, or do a hybrid where it's a little bit of both. Do
Hmm.
you have a preference as to how you like to do a match?
I I do like to have the majority of it uh put together already, but I also really like getting in the ring with younger guys, like greener guys,
Hmm.
and like before the show we'll figure out the little spot in the shine, the little spot in the heat, the comeback and the finish, and then I'll get in there and I'll say, I'm gonna lead you through the rest. Just listen to me. I really like doing that too. Um, it helps the younger guys learn how to do that, and I find it I find it fun, and I like to know that I can do that as
Right,
well.
right,
So I like doing it that way too. But if I'm looking to have like a spectacle match like that birthday bash match, I like to have everything engraved into my brain before going out and doing it.
Gotcha. So, if you could only be one, would you rather be great in the ring or great on the mic?
That's definitely a hard question because one, I love to watch my highlights back and to know that I'm good in the ring. So that is huge, but something that it took me a while to figure out was how to do a good promo. So if you would have asked me that question 5 years ago, I would have said in ring for sure. But whenever I hear my good like whenever I know I got a good promo, whenever I'm doing it live or watching it back, the sheer goosebumps that I get just knowing that I can bring that out of me whenever I struggled for so many years, being good on the mic, I think feels better. It's more rewarding for me because I struggled for so long uh getting it out. Because I've always felt like I was good in the ring, even from the backyard. I always felt like I was meant to do this in ring. And so I never really had too much of a struggle doing that. But the struggle that I've had with promos and finally finding myself in the promos, I think being great on the mic is harder. So I'm gonna go with that. Which I
Gotcha.
feel like a lot of people who know me would think I would say the other answer.
Hmm. So, you had sort of touched on this a little bit, but I'm going to sort of go a little deeper into this topic. You know, I've asked this on a lot of these, and a lot of people say, you know, it doesn't really matter. It's basically whatever the booker needs. But do you have a preference yourself between working heel or babyface?
So I worked babyface for like six years without doing any heel work at all. So I
Hmm.
started as a babyface, and just till about 2 years ago, I had my first run at being a heel. And I would have said for those first 6 years, I would have said being a babyface because that's all I knew. But after being a heel, I have so much fun out there. It's it's a different world being hated, and it's so much more fun for me. I love getting those people throwing the middle fingers up. It's my favorite thing. It's so fun. I'd gotta say, definitely heel.
Well, you know, I've got to say, as a fan, I have always gravitated more toward the heels. I
Yeah.
just I find them to be more compelling characters usually,
Uh-huh.
uh,
Yeah.
because you know, usually with the heel, there's a backstory. There's a reason why they are the way they are. You know, usually they're not being an asshole just to be an asshole. There's a reason,
Yeah.
and you know, digging into all of that and really getting into the character
Yeah.
is, I mean, to me, that's really where the magic is.
Oh yeah.
And you know, I don't feel like you get those type of dynamics as much with the baby faces, you know.
Right.
uh,
Hmm.
but you know, there's definitely deep seated reasons for most of these heels, so
Yep. Yeah.
it's interesting getting into all that.
It feels like there's more layers.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
So, in terms of your in ring work and your promos, who or what would you say are some of your influences? Who has contributed to helping shape the Hammerlord into who he is?
Um, I mean, The Undertaker's my biggest inspiration. Just the first time I seen him, was that Friday night when we had my friend over. Watching him and his entrance is just like, you know how the Taker
Oh yeah.
entrance is.
Yep.
So that was what really drew me in. I gotta be that guy. Even though but he was definitely my biggest inspiration. Um, I say for my like heel work, Triple H, I try to like feel like I structure my stuff around him a little bit, just to how like gritty he was, how cruel he could be to the baby faces. He was always
Hmm.
really cruel. I loved that. I love like how Triple H would always be standing over the bloody body of another man and like grabbing him up and throwing the punches onto the bloody wound, just adding insult to injury. I really like that about Triple H. And another thing about Triple H's promos are always so solid. So
Hmm.
I feel like I try to build my promos a little bit around him too, or even oddly like Raven, a little bit like Raven.
Love Raven.
I love Raven. He's so good. So good. I like the like dark, slow eeriness to Raven. So I feel like I add a little bit of Raven into my promos,
Hmm.
especially when I do like just solo recorded promos. I think Raven's a go-to.
Yeah, you know, I've said this on several episodes, but I'll say it again. Um, I absolutely love Raven's promo style.
Yeah.
It harkens back to me at least to Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yeah.
Uh, you
Yeah.
know, uh, both of those guys, very rarely would they raise their voice. They would
Uh-huh.
just calmly and quietly tell
Yep.
you what they were going to do to you. And to
Hmm.
me, that's scarier than a
So,
guy with the veins sticking out of his head, ranting and raving and screaming what he's going to do to you. They
yeah.
say they say fear the quiet ones.
Yeah.
And man, I had an opportunity several years ago, interestingly enough, at a comic book convention here in Atlanta. I was at this convention, just walking around the floor, and sitting at a table off in the corner was Raven.
Hmm.
Um, and like nobody was paying the guy any attention. I guess
Yep.
these were all just comic book people and didn't really know who or what Raven was. And I spent about a half hour talking to him, nicest guy in the world.
Yeah, he's nice.
And just having the opportunity to sit there and talk to Raven for about a half hour was just the most unexpectedly cool thing, you know. So yeah, he's a good dude.
Well, see, I've seen Raven in a couple like indie shows too, and like at intermission. Like it's kind of the same. Like people for some reason don't gravitate to him. And I was at WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia, and
Hmm.
there was WrestleCon right down the street. And I went there. There's tons of old wrestlers there, and he was one of them. Like nobody was gravitating towards Raven. Something about him. I don't know. It's
Hmm.
like they just don't know. I mean, he doesn't look like he used to, so
No.
I don't know.
Yep. Yep. So speed round. Necro Butcher.
Feet, dirty jeans, ripped jeans, fucked up hair again.
Yeah.
uh, Old now,
Yeah. Man,
glass.
man, his match with Samoa Joe
Oh
was
yeah.
just
Oh yeah.
woo. Yeah, um, one of my first deathmatch people that came on the show told me I had to go and watch that match. So the day
Hmm.
after that episode, I sat down and watched that, and I just sat there with my mouth open, watching these two guys just brutalize each other, and I was like, my God, yeah, yeah, man,
Yeah, he's a psychopath.
for sure, for sure.
Well, speaking of Necro, have you ever watched the wrestler with Mickey Rourke?
I have. It's been a number of years, but I should probably watch that again.
Yeah, please do. I try to watch that movie at least once every 2 months. It's like my favorite movie, and Necro's in it. So
Is he?
yeah, he's in it.
Oh, very
Mickey
cool.
Rourke has wrestling match with him at CZW in a death match. So it was so cool. I
Nice,
love that movie so much.
nice, nice. So, do you have an all-time favorite match as a fan? A match that just stands the test of time. You can have watched it a million times, and it just never gets old. And there's always some new little something.
Yeah, if we're talking like psychology wise, like the best match ever, everybody says Taker and Shawn WrestleMania 25, and
Yeah.
that's my answer. But if we're talking like just out of pure enjoyment, um, I'm gonna say Masada Tanaka and Mike Awesome from One Night Stand 2005.
Mm-hmm.
I could watch that match every day.
Interestingly enough, the guy that was actually on the show last night said that exact same match,
Oh yeah,
and that actually makes me want to, sometime this weekend I'm going to sit down and watch that match again. It's
hell
been a
yeah,
long time,
hell
but
yeah.
yeah, but the fact that two of you on back-to-back nights have said the same thing, I've got to watch it again.
You got to, you definitely got to. I can watch that match every day. It's nice, short and sweet, heavy hitting. Oh my god, so good, so good. It's a pure enjoyment for me.
So, in your opinion, who are the best male and female wrestlers in the world right now?
So like one singular male and one singular female.
Yep,
I'm gonna go female first, and I'm gonna say Tony Storm.
I won't argue
I
that.
I think she's solid all the way
She's
around.
she is doing the best work of her career right now.
So good. It's so good. And I mean, I'd say Rhea Ripley too, but I think Tony Storm got the cake on this one.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, and male wrestler. That's a really hard question.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones.
There's so many good ones. I want to say I'm gonna say Gunther.
Yeah,
I like Gunther.
I like
I
it.
would,
I like his style.
yeah.
I like the hard hitting smash mouth. No nonsense.
Hmm.
Just go out there and just wreck somebody.
Yeah, and his promo work lately has been really good.
Mm-hmm.
And that Monday Night Raw, one of the Raws before WrestleMania, whenever he like dismantled Jimmy Uso.
Oh yeah,
Oh my God, that like brought me back to like early 2000s Monday Night Raw. I was like, this is some good shit. I watch this
yeah,
shit every day. I love stuff like that.
yep,
Like brought the pure brutality, like doesn't give a shit vibe. Like I love that. So I'm gonna go with Gunther, but a couple years ago I would have said Kenny Omega.
yeah, yeah. You know, you touched briefly on Rhea Ripley, and one thing I will say is, now that she is in the WWE system, I am looking forward to Rhea Ripley and Jordan Grace working
Oh yeah.
a program together. I think those two could
Oh
tear
yeah.
the house down.
Oh my God.
I mean, talk about two powerful women. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, that's like a 25-minute heavy hitting. Uh, yeah, that would be a great spectacle to see.
oh, for sure, for sure.
I honestly haven't even really thought about that. So that definitely got my mind going a little bit.
Think about it, man. I think the possibilities for those two. Whew.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean,
Oh yeah.
so um, and this can be present day or past. Who would be a dream opponent? Who would be somebody you would love to have the opportunity to share a ring with?
I think like me at my best and Triple H at his best would be awesome. I think that would be a really fun one. But if we're gonna go, like, I would like to go death match too. I uh I really would love to get in the ring with Nick Gage. And
Mhm.
I don't think that's something that is impossible. I think I could reach that goal in my career.
Yeah,
So I'd say Nick Gage for death match, and I would love to work Triple H in regular non-death match wrestling.
gotcha, gotcha. So, I'm going to use kind of a literary term here, and that is, do you have what they call a foil, which is basically an arch rival, somebody that you have amazing chemistry with, that if you're working that person, you're always going to have a banger. Do you have somebody like that?
Yes, and that's the same guy that I had the birthday match with, Elijah Dean.
Hmm.
We always put together pretty much banger spectacles every time. We actually just went through like a 2 3 month rivalry at IWC, and we just finished it up in a bull rope match, and
Nice.
it was awesome experience to have with him. The whole build was good, promos from both ends. It was definitely a barn burner of a storyline, and finishing it off in the bull rope match was perfect, I would say.
Gotcha.
So Elijah Dean, my arch enemy.
Nice. Do you have any words for him right now, if he happens to see this?
I'm sure he'll see it. I think he knows, since I won the bull rope match, to stick away for a little bit. I mean, I proved my point, and I think he needs to take some time, sit down, and let me have my shine now. It's my turn.
Gotcha. So, what is your favorite move? What is something you just really enjoy doing? And on the flip side of that, is there a move that you won't do or you would at least rather not do? And that can be giving or receiving.
Okay. So my favorite move to do is a standard regular pile driver. Love
Hmm.
doing a nice little jump up, boom, right onto their head. I love that move. I don't think I'll ever stop doing that move. And anytime I see it happen on TV, I'm popping every time. Or anytime I see it just in a match at a show, I'm popping every time. I love that move so much. And I also love doing a Death Valley driver. That's just to throwing it out there too. I like to do a super tucked Death Valley driver. So I'll hold the head real tight, hold the knee real tight, and not let go. Drop them right on the like top of the shoulders. It's disgusting every time. I love the Death Valley driver too. But as for a move I don't like doing, um, and won't do, is an arm drag. I can't get an arm drag down to save my life, and there's no reason for my big ass to be throwing an arm drag anyway. I uh I remember back in class at IWC, we were doing arm drags, and there was this one girl, I won't name names or anything, but she she couldn't take the arm drag to save her life. And I mean, I could take an arm drag all day, and it looks good.
Yeah.
I can't give them. So she kept screwing up taking it, kept screwing it up, kept screwing it up, kept screwing it up. And my trainer got pissed off. He was like, "We've been doing this for how many months now? You should know how to take an arm drag and how to give it." And he said, "So we're going to be doing arm drags for the next hour." And I was like, "God, please no." And so I'm taking an arm drag, and then I'm giving an arm drag, getting back in line over and over and over and over and over again. We did arm drags for like an hour and a half. I do not want nothing to do with the arm drag for the rest of my career.
I don't blame you. So, you've been doing this long enough that I'm sure this applies. So I'm going to ask, what hurts right now? Or should I maybe ask what doesn't hurt?
Right now my shoulder is pretty screwed up. Couple months back, it was probably about a month and a half, 2 months ago. Yeah. Uh, I took a bump, just a regular bump. I was taking a big boot. We just got done doing a in-ring promo segment, and we got physical. He was punching me to the ropes, lipped me off. I rebounded into a big boot, and I bumped a little bit to my left side, a hair, and
Mm-hmm.
I separated my shoulder, my AC joint, and it hasn't been the same since. They said it was going to be 4, 5 weeks at the most for the pain, and I'm still in pretty bad pain. But I also like uh I think it was like a week later after I did that, I did have that bull rope match, which I shouldn't have been wrestling on a separated shoulder, but I the build was so good, and we were building to that bull rope match. There was no way I wasn't doing it. No
Right.
way. It probably wasn't the best decision, but we had a great match, and I'm sure it didn't help my shoulder, especially the fact that there was that arm tied to the rope. There's nothing good that could come out of that.
No, nothing.
Uh, yeah. So I'm still dealing with that. That's pretty bad right now. My lower back's been screwed up since high school because of uh, backyard wrestling and lifting weights wrong, not knowing proper technique, doing dumb weight on deadlifts. That doesn't help. Uh, I I suffer from like memory loss a little bit, and that's due to many concussions. I've had so many concussions, and I'd say that's probably the worst thing that I deal with is having like my wife will tell me something, and then 2 days later I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. You didn't tell me that. So
Hmm.
I feel like that is not good for my age.
Right.
It's definitely scary, and my family definitely lets me know about how I need to calm down a little bit. I mean, I don't do nothing crazy. Like I used to take unprotected chair shots all the time. It was like my
Mm-hmm.
go-to. I loved it. And I don't do them. I don't do stuff like that anymore. Uh, for my family because they asked me to stop doing that stuff. So I did. Um, but I'd say the worst thing pain wise right now is my shoulder, and the worst thing like injury wise is concussions.
Yeah. Got you. Speed round.
Yeah,
Abdullah the Butcher.
disgusting forehead.
Yes.
This
I
disgusting
mean,
for
that forehead was just gnarly. I mean,
disgusting. Oh my god. And another thing, that electric chair thing. Did you see that? Have you ever seen him go through that electric chair?
yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing that I think of as soon as I hear his name. But yeah,
Yeah.
that forehead's wicked.
Yep. 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 Um, so, so what is your take on the role that social media is playing as a promotional tool in wrestling, specifically indie wrestling?
It is the best tool you have outside of the wrestling ring, and everybody needs to use it more. Even myself. I mean, I'm definitely using it a lot more than I have these past 2 years. And it's helped me so much. Like this podcast right now is, I think, my fifth podcast this year already.
Nice,
So it's definitely helping me a ton, and especially with the promoters too. They see you active promoting their shows online. It is only going to help you out. That's it's your best tool outside of the ring.
for sure, for sure. So, knowing everything that you know at this point in your life, if you could give any advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Uh, Come into training in shape, knowing what cardio is.
Yeah.
That's a big one. And don't be so afraid of cutting a promo, because I was terrified to cut a promo. I would have tried to hone in the craft a bit more when I was younger to help elevate me sooner, because promos have elevated me a lot.
Gotcha. So, do you have any pre-show traditions? Any things that you try to do consistently before you walk through the curtain?
I always try to get out a little prayer just for safety on all guys, not even just my match, just everybody involved in the show. I try to get a little one out, and sometimes I'll involve my opponent if they're interested.
Hmm.
That's something I like to do. Something else I do sometimes I'll have like a drink before.
Hmm.
I'm a big drinker, so I'll have a drink or two before, which some people frown upon that, but I do it. I ask my opponent,
Yeah.
I'm like, If you're not cool with this, I won't do it." So got to respect your opponent too.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
But yeah, a little
So,
prayer, little minute prayer.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So, just kind of a quick rundown on stuff. What all do you carry in your gear bag? Do you carry anything unique or unusual, or is it just pretty much standard stuff? What's in your gear bag?
Uh, Obviously the gear, um, ibuprofen, aspirin, wrist tape. I have a taser in there. I have a set of handcuffs. I have brass knuckles. I have razor blades. And at the moment, I have probably 300 thumbtacks down at the bottom because my bag spilled out.
Ah,
I have a big bag of thumbtacks, and a couple of them spilled out. So bunch of thumbtacks too. That's what
nice,
my bag looks
nice,
like right now.
nice. You know, one
That's a
of
good
the
question too.
well, thank you, thank you.
Never was asked that before, so that's a good one.
So, uh, one of the most interesting things, I'll admit I haven't watched a ton of deathmatch. I've watched some, but I mean it's never been a style that I've really heavily gravitated toward. But
Hmm.
one of the most unusual and kind of twisted things I've seen watching deathmatch was a guy pulls a bag out from under the ring and dumps Legos out.
Yeah.
And and I was at first I was like, well, what is that? And then it hit me, because if you've ever stepped on a Lego,
Oh
man,
yeah. Ooh, boy.
and he proceeded to power bomb a guy onto these Legos, and I'm sitting there thinking that's probably worse than thumbtacks. I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh my God. I've actually been on a couple shows where that's happened, and I'm just like, yeah. I mean, I would do it, but I have yet to. Uh,
so you haven't bumped onto Legos yet.
Not yet. I'm sure it'll come.
Wow, wow,
I'm sure there'll be that day. It has yet to come.
no doubt. Speed round. John Moxley.
One of the best in the world. Um, Psychopath.
Yeah,
Uh, um, yeah, one of the best. I honestly think, um, running back to the question about who you'd like to wrestle in the ring, I would love to be in the ring with John Moxley.
yeah, yeah. I don't know if you have had the chance, but if you have not read Moxley's book, it is
Mhm.
actually really good.
Oh yeah,
It really kind of takes you into his head,
yeah.
I mean, he is a deep thinker,
Is he?
and yeah, and you wouldn't necessarily think that until you read the book, and then you're like, wow, this guy really thinks about
Yeah.
everything that he does,
Yeah.
uh, so
I
so
didn't know that.
yeah, so reading Mox's book is well worth your time. I recommend it.
Okay. Okay. I'll
So
definitely have to look into that for sure. I remember seeing he wrote a book, and I was actually really surprised that he did. I didn't peg him to be a guy who would want to write a book. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to look into that then.
well, I remember in the early part of it, I get the feeling that he wrote it because Renee was kind of nagging him, like, you need to write a book. You've got so much knowledge to put out there, and I think he was
Yeah.
finally like, okay, just to get her to leave him alone, he wrote it. But something that we've done in all of these that's just been kind of fun is we've let the current guest pose a question for the next guest.
Okay.
And so my guest last night, he's one half of a tag team out of Connecticut. Um, and his ring name is All Go Nelly.
Okay.
And he and his partner go by the tag team name the Duke Boys. But
Okay.
anyway, I told him that you were my next guest, and his question to you is, when are we wrestling? So, so I'll go. Nelly wants to wrestle you.
I'm down anytime, brother. Let's make this happen. Anytime, any place, anywhere. Let's do
Absolutely.
it.
So, and since this is part of a series, do you have a question that you would like to pose to the next guest? And, the question does not have to be particular to this person, but I can go ahead and tell you my next guest tomorrow night at 7 p.m. I've got a ring announcer and commentator out of Louisiana by the name of Sammy Kiss. He is
Okay.
actually the commentator for Wildcat Sports in New Orleans.
Okay. Um, Ask him how much gas he has left in the tank. How many more years does he have doing this?
That is actually a really good question. How would you answer that? How long do you plan to keep being in the ring?
I've been thinking about that more and more the older I get. uh, let's say I were to get signed this next year. If
Hmm.
I were to get signed by a major company, um, I would like to wrestle into my 40s.
Hmm.
If that
How
doesn't seem to,
how old are you now, if you don't mind my asking?
I'm going to be 28 in 9 days. So 27
Well,
right now.
well, happy birthday.
Thank you, sir. Um, yeah, I'd like to wrestle into my 40s if I was signed to a major company. Um, I'd say if I if that's not on the radar at all, 34 or 35,
Gotcha.
I think. But then, this has been in my blood for so long now with the backyard and everything. I have so much love for it. Who knows what's to come whenever those years come around.
Absolutely. It's been, I mean, doing these live streams and having the opportunity to do this, this last coming up on a year has just been so cool. To finally be a small part of a business that I've loved for 40
Hmm.
years has just been the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah.
I've gotten to meet some of the coolest people,
Yeah.
and I feel like I've got friends now all over the country and to some extent all over the world. So it's just
Yeah.
been this has just been an incredible journey.
Yeah, it's always fun meeting new podcast guys, and then like having the connection like we're having right now, and then having like seeing you, like if you were to interview somebody that I know, somebody that
Mm-hmm.
I'm familiar with, like Justin, he's done so many IWC guys and guys from this area that I know. I love to sit and listen to those podcasts. So it it really does add to the wrestling business for me. It brings joy to me. I got long rides to work in the morning and long rides to home after, so I listen to podcasts all the time. And it's good to I love to hear you guys do your thing, especially with people that I know, and I get to hear more about these guys that I've never heard. Like one of Justin's interviews, I've known this guy for like 6 years, and I learned so much about him listening to his podcast. I'm like,
Right.
holy crap, I really don't know half of this stuff. And
Yep.
it's really intriguing to hear. And I'm glad that there's people out there like you guys doing this stuff for us littler um like indie wrestlers. So it's very entertaining for me, and I enjoy it, and I enjoy doing these. So thank you again for having me on. I really do appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. And I've loved doing this with a focus on the indies because being a part of telling the story of people chasing a dream is
Yeah,
it's an honor. I mean,
it's awesome, man.
so but so we're pretty much at the end of things now. So do you have any upcoming shows or anything at all that you'd like to give some hype to?
I've been trying to rest the shoulder a bit, so I've taken the majority of my shows off, or I've been doing non-wrestling roles, but I
Hmm.
do have a match coming up on the 17th. It's going to be my first match since the bull rope match. Little tag team match with my buddy Xander. We're facing TME. I'm familiar with them. The main event, they've been on AEW for very big in the Pittsburgh area. We are wrestling at Washington Wild Things Baseball Park in Washington, PA for the International Wrestling Cartel, May 17th. So it's my first time back in the ring. Wish me luck.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, like I said, as far as what we've got going on here at the Throwdown, tomorrow night, Thursday the 8th at 7 p.m., I've got episode 118 with announcer and commentator Sammy Kiss. And then this coming Tuesday, the 13th at 7 p.m. Eastern, I've got episode 119 with a guy based right here in Atlanta, Herculon Rage. Um, and we've got a bunch more booked, but I sort of like to sort of announce them a little bit here and a little bit there. But suffice it to say, I'm pretty much booked up through about the third week of June, and I've actually got a couple of bigger names coming on the show that I'm excited about. So uh, definitely keep an eye on my socials. And before we wrap this up, Jamie, do you have any final words you'd like to say to the audience?
Thank you for listening. Thank you for following my story online, and just thank you for being a part of this wild wrestling world. Don't give up on it.
Absolutely. And for those of you that have been watching this live, thank you. For those of you that'll be seeing this on replays and such, thank you for that. If you like what we've got going here, please go on my socials and do all the like, comment, share, and subscribe. And until tomorrow night, be good to each other, love each other,